Okay, this is my first initial findings on client and server sockets. So I was on the Oracle website, found this, what is a socket? And so initially, I'll just describe what I've learned, because sockets were always kind of a real big ambiguous metaphor to me. Ports has really confused me. But what I've learned is that you have a client port, which I used to think of physically, but I think obviously it's virtually. So I'm trying to realize that you have this client port, which is virtual, and it's linked to the server port or socket. That's the idea here, is that they're using socket for the ports. And with a client port, we'll send a request, and the server socket has both a listener and just a normal port, I guess. I can't remember what they refer to it as in here. But, or maybe these are both the pieces of the socket. But, but the client, this is when we talk about a certain application that's on the server that is listening on a port. I know that at work they talk about that all the time, but I don't, you feel like you understand it kind of, but now it makes a lot more sense that you actually have an application that's kind of looking for a specific filter, and when that gets plugged in, if this application's running or an application is running that's listening on that specific port, then it gets triggered. And yeah, I've been saying port a lot, but apparently I should say socket. But that's the idea, is just sockets and ports, at least from what I understand here, pretty interchangeable. Like this one, it says has a socket that is bound to a specific port number. So listening to the socket for a client to make a connection request. So it seems like they kind of interchange port and socket here, but apparently a socket is bound to a specific port number, so they're not, there's many ports, but a socket can only be linked to one port at a time. So anyways, that's what I found, and then this was talking more about the specific Java.NET socket, and then the .server socket, which are just the classes that have been created so that they can, you can, let me use their words exactly. Well, anyways, can communicate over the network in a platform independent fashion. So that's the idea with the Java framework, kind of like all of Java's applications. Anyways, that's what I learned about client and server sockets.